formatting for the forum. So because we are expecting a lot of people, we're not going to do like a Zoom sort of thing where people can come and like unmute and then talk and add into the conversation, which means that we all have to tweak our segments to make, yeah, I know, Alador, no icebreaker. I kind of like cried inside a bit, but we all have to tweak our segments so that it's essentially a presentation. So for all of the panelists, for everyone that's talking, I also put yet another Google form in Google Classroom. Put your name, your role, and then your email there. So if you're talking, you're going to get the Zoom webinar link. And then if you're attending, it's going to be live streamed via YouTube. So once we get the posters out and all that sort of stuff, we'll be good to go. But yeah, so just note that we're not going to have necessarily like audience participation. If you want to invite a community member or a teacher or someone else to speak, that's totally cool. Again, we just have to get their emails so that they have the Zoom webinar link. And yeah, I guess that makes it easier for us for performers and whatnot, but we need to get all of that contact info by the end of the week. So just check out Google Classroom. That as well. Yeah, so 30 minutes per group. That's the cap on it, but that's it from me.
Okay. And there are two questions in the chat. One from Kyla and one from Faith, or I see your hands raised. Oh, I guess that was you, Faith?
Yeah, it was just my hand. I'll put it down, sorry.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, because of like the changes that we made, our group could use like at least half an hour to 45 minutes, almost maybe even an hour to get organized, because like there are a few things that we definitely have to change. Yeah.
So Mr. Sutton, Miss Cadet, if we give the groups until 7 and then we start presenting as if it's the actual, I know you're not gonna use your full half hour because I'm sure you're not quite ready with everything that you'll need, each of the groups. Would that work then? Like if we give you until, or do you need less time? What about 6:45?
I was thinking that, yeah.
That work? Okay. All right. Sorry, the other thing that we promised communications was that we would remind everyone that there is a Black Excellence discussion series, and number 2 is happening on the 18th of May from 7 to 8 o'clock. And it's, you can register on the board website, but they wanted us to share that with you, and we said that we would, so. Okay, Faith, you want to give me the names?
Yes, sorry. Hold on. Sheets. Okay. So we've got group 1. Myself, Shahad. I'll give you a minute to.
Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Slowing down. Okay. Ish. How do you spell that?
S. It's okay. S-H-A.
Not here yet. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense then. Alex B. Belgrade.
Alex isn't here yet either? Or is
Charissa.
Alex?
Is Charissa here?
Yeah.
Okay. Deontay. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
How do you spell it?
D-I-A-N.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Alador.
Okay.
Danny.
Okay.
Intisar.
Not here yet.
Okay. Maram. And Desmond.
Sorry, who was before Desmond?
Maram. M-A-R-A-M.
Not here yet.
And then Desmond. I see Desmond here.
Okay. Group 2.
Dina.
Okay.
Karima.
Okay.
Michelle.
Okay.
Zainab. Sorry, my siblings are like opening and closing the door. Did you get
not here yet?
Okay. Ariel. I don't know if Ariel's here.
Nope.
Adna. I don't see Adna. Maya. I don't see Maya either.
Okay.
Samuel.
Oh, I think Maya's here.
Maya.
Maya's here.
Yeah.
Oh, Maya's here. Oh, I just don't
I
have her.
spelled your name wrong. That was why. Okay.
Maya and Samuel.
Samuel's here. He's in.
Did you get Dina?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So group 3, Amateur Rahim,
Okay.
Berea,
Sorry. Okay. Not here yet.
Is Hasset here? Yeah,
Yes.
Hasset's here. Zamar,
Okay.
Yasmin,
Okay.
Jenny, or Jennifer, sorry. Call her Jenny.
Actually, no now.
Okay.
Not here yet.
Aya,
How do you spell Aya?
Ayah.
Not here. Not.
And Samuel. Oh, no, sorry, I lied. Celestina.
Celestine. Okay.
I missed someone.
Group 4. We can come back. Whoever's left, I'll move into the group.
Okay. So group 4, we've got Kasai, Maysoon,
Okay.
Kyla,
Okay.
Joy,
Okay.
I'm scrolling, sorry, Ramla,
Okay.
Gracia,
Not here yet.
Kendra,
Not here yet.
Brienne,
Yep.
Isaac,
Okay.
and Hayat. I think that's it. I'm really sorry if I'm missing people.
Okay. In group 5.
Going through at 5. So we've got Yanda. Okay, Isaac isn't here.
Okay.
Yanis,
Okay.
David,
Okay.
Fatima.
Oh, wait. I just moved somebody in there by mistake. David.
David was the last.
And sharing with other people is a sign of strength. And then I'll move on to like a personal story. Like I'll basically just be talking about how I've usually strayed away from talking to people about my issues because I don't want to overstep. And it's kind of how I've always grown up. I kind of pride myself in hearing from others, but I never really want to talk about my own situation. And then lastly, I'll talk about identity, so personal versus social identity, and how Black youth, specifically Black men, are supposed to act differently when we're in our own community, in our own neighborhood, versus in other areas like school, how we're supposed to put up a front because we don't want to be seen as that ghetto, dangerous, and uncivilized person. And then Desmond will come in and talk about his.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on the topic of the be a man stereotype. Not giving Black youth the ability to express themselves or express their hurt or share their emotional problems with, causing a buildup of hurt and emotional instability. And then also touch up on not having older Black male mentors show vulnerability around people. So like not having anyone who usually, like, let's say, shows their sadness and causes the young boys to have a mentality that men shouldn't be crying or talking to therapists or stuff like that. And I'll probably like give some personal examples, and yeah, that's it.
And maybe to like end off that section, I was thinking about, like, I know there's not going to be an like audience per se to talk to, but maybe like giving a question to think about, and it would have been, have you been pushed to change who you are? And then I'm assuming we move on to the next group, like the next part of.
And the next topic is stigma around mental health, and that's Sharissa and Deontay.
So for the stigma section, we have 5 points, and I will be doing what is the definition of a stigma and examples of stigmas, and I will also be doing, I will also explain how and why they exist and in what form they exist in.
Okay, and then after that topic, we're gonna, myself, Shahad, and Deontay is gonna talk a little bit about mental health resources and tips on how to check in with your mental health, and just different strategies that they can use and kind of take away from the workshop. And during the workshop, for example, after Danny's section, Danny's gonna ask a question, but after Faith and Moram's section, I'm gonna ask the question saying like, take some time to reflect for yourself. You pre-COVID and pre-pandemic versus a few months in versus now, and how your mental health has shifted, adjusted, how have you developed as a person, just letting people reflect for themselves. And then after the stigma around mental health section, we're going to ask like what stigma surrounding mental health has affected you the most and been the hardest to overcome. But we're going to ask that question amongst ourselves because there is no like live discussion. But the topic that we're going to talk a little bit about is, the mental health resources. So what do you notice about when your mental health is compromised, some red flags. We'll discuss a little bit about that and talk a little bit about the racism and barriers in mental health care, the lack of representation amongst therapists, physicians, whatever it might be surrounding the field of health. And even though, racism does cause that strain on us and might kind of emphasize all of the feelings that people might be feeling, whether it's anxiety, depression, or trauma. The truth is even with that, there is still those added on barriers when it comes to expressing that you might need self-help. And then we're gonna segue into prioritizing self-help and talk a little bit about what you can do. And, if you don't know many people that you can open up with, or you don't want to share with people that are necessarily very close to you, to always feel free to contact people like us, like youth like us, just to talk. And we are also going to emphasize that we are not professionals when it comes to mental health, but we're just talking from experience. And we're talking from a place of sharing our own perspective as well. And then we're going to talk a little bit about like whenever you feel overwhelmed about hearing racial injustices and discrimination, especially in 2020 now, all the time, take time for yourself. And something that has helped many of us is channeling that energy and channeling all of the feelings that we have been feeling, like anti-racism or activist groups or the Black Youth Forum, whatever it might be. And then we're going to talk a little bit about like staying active. And Deontay, if you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to talk about there.
Yeah, it's like mostly mental health tips and like what you can do on your own, such as like staying active, engaging in like relaxing activities and creating a positive environment for yourself in order to like have a better like feeling mentally. And moving on from that is like de-escalating situations for yourself mentally. Mostly like social media and how there's a lot of like triggering videos without like trigger warnings on them, and how a lot of the time like news comes in that form where it's like really graphic videos and like alternatives to that, and just allowing yourself to not always have to absorb that form of news in media and that kind of content, like especially on social media, because it can be very triggering, especially like for somebody who may have experienced something like that before, and like allowing people to actually have positive media experiences on social media. The next section is on like resources, like who you can talk to, like communicating with friends and family, or like seeking help with like guidance or trying to connect with teachers if you're like a student, and books and media containing information on mental health.
Yeah, and then after all of those, sorry, yeah, I'll kind of just sum it up there. And then after Deontay shares the resources, just going to end off that section by saying like all of those tips and like pieces of advice is to allow everyone to ensure that, you know, they're always giving those around them and yourself as well the best of you rather than just what's left of you, and always finding ways to like prioritize your mental health. And then throughout it, we're going to be asking the guest speakers. So Presidential Hoops, Manak, we're going to ask those questions that I kind of mentioned throughout to give that sort of interactive effect. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
All right. All right. And so I know that that's an overview of what you all are going to deliver. And, you know, in the feedback, what we will look for you to do for next week is take us through the entire thing, the way you intend for it to be delivered. So I get that that's what we're doing today. You all are giving me an overview of what your time will take up. And we're moving closer towards being able to run through the whole thing as it is to be delivered to participants, because we'll need to know the timing that you're giving for responses and et cetera and participation. So just keep that in mind as the groups make your way through. In the chat, I've included 2 resources that you may look to incorporate. One is a virtual conference response tool where, and I see it says pricing, so I'm not sure if it's free, but take a look at it and see. This acts, Kahoot can work as well. So some of you have used that before. And so look to also incorporate something like that so your audience has a way to participate. SurveyMonkey, or the second one that I just showed you or just posted, is a little bit more interactive. This is called a host interactive remote meetings tool. So it allows for you to do a poll that can, you know, come right up on the screen for everyone to see, and then people can select and pick, etc. So take a look at these tools. Poll Everywhere. We used this in a conference for Black educators a couple weeks ago. So what you already know, plus any of these, see how you can incorporate that to ensure that your participants have a way to either respond to a big idea question from your presentation or participate during. Okay, appreciate that, group 1. Who is the next on the schedule to go?
This cadet, can I add a comment for this group?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That is I love what you're doing and the fact that you're tying in some personal stories. I feel like you've got way more than 30 minutes already, and you're talking about inviting a speaker. So think about what the speaker can add that doesn't already exist in your presentation.
And if you're going to use his resilience project, maybe instead of him speaking, you play the videos that are part of the resilience project. So you'll ask his permission if he can give you 2 or 3 people who speak a resilience story that is a match for some of what you shared in your own presentation. And that might be what is something for you to ask. The other thing too is I'm hesitant because although Manak is a great speaker and a great guest, he is not a student of the OCDSB. So the weight of what you're trying to communicate should land on you all. And maybe there's just something about that current project he's working on that can support your idea for this session.
We will make our appropriate adjustments. Thanks for the feedback. That being said, group 2. I don't know if we'll be able to have time for like a performance or something to be integrated, like as in like as an intermission. Sorry, that scared me. But yeah, if anyone from the class, like a student specifically, would like to do like a 5-minute sort of thing to just, I don't know, change it up a bit before we go into the second workshop, please speak up. But yeah, second group.
I can start off my group with what we have so far. So our group is anti-racism and allyship. And so Zainab and I have the first part where we're just talking about what anti-racism is. So for our group, we kind of want it to be catered to both the racialized and the non-racialized participants, because allyship does apply to both parties. So we start off with explaining what our definition of anti-racism is, and we go into talking about identity and the privilege and the oppression identities hold. And the second part of our group presentation kind of is intersectionality. And so the rest of our group are working on, one part is feminism and Black women. So talk about the experience of Black women and the struggles they face of being over-sexualized and seen as adults. And then we also have a part for the LGBTQ plus community and the LGBTQ Black community specifically. And so those are our 3 sections. So I don't know if anyone else in the other 2 sections would like to speak on their parts.
So sorry, I was trying to find what I was looking for while listening. Are you complete, Darwin?
Yeah, I'm still on my part. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak, since we do have another section.
Okay.
Feminism and Black women.
So what order are you going in to ensure that your section flows in the way that you imagine it? That is going to determine how that goes. So that just something to consider. What order do you want this flow to be in?
Yeah, so we're starting off with talking about anti-racism, and then social identity, and then going into performative versus affirmative allyship. And then we go into intersectionality. And with intersectionality, we go to feminism and Black women first, and then the LGBTQ plus community, and then wrapping it up with connecting it to the theme.
All righty. Is that everyone from group 2? Yes, everyone from group 2? All right. And okay, thank you, Samuel. All right. And so y'all are still blending together, and you want it to make sure that it flows, like I said, in the way that you imagine it, and has a beginning and an end, and something in the middle, and a way for folks to engage or interact with what you're talking about. Okay. All right. And
If I may jump in quickly, for the people, so, okay, this is a message for the people who aren't in the call right now, but please reach out to the people that are not here and, get them caught up and whatever. Next week, like Ms. Cadet said, we're going to do a full run through, and then I'm sure after that we'll have to do a dress rehearsal, if you will. But if people are still confused next week, this is we've got 2 weeks. We gotta get going with it. So yeah, just make sure everyone in your group is up to date and that everyone's actually doing their part and stuff. Super helpful to have a script, even if you don't follow it completely, but just to remember all of your punchlines and whatever. But that's it. That's all I have to say.
yeah, exactly, because you'll need, so when one person is completing, what is the cue for the next person to start? Those are the types of things that, in making sure you're following a script that everyone has, then we'll be able to know the flow, and you will be able to know who is next and what is approaching. So make sure to have that as a tool to support yourselves. So if it's a script, then script it out, insert the parts that you each are contributing, and so that you know what the cue for the next person to start is, whether we have to share a screen to get whatever thing you might be projecting. We know there's a pause so participants can respond to a poll or question, etc. Because the interactiveness is one of the things that we wanted to ensure was as forefront as possible. And I know that when we've added the bit of a shift to presentation style, it doesn't eliminate that people who are viewing via YouTube or on the Zoom itself, it doesn't prohibit them from participating. So don't let the tool make you think that it can't be interactive in nature and it just needs to be from 10 to 2, you're talking head, talking at an audience. Find a way for that audience to provide you with some sort of feedback, whether it's through comment, by you asking a question, or if it's through responding to an interactive tool, or you're giving them something to think about and consider, and then you are responding. Any of those things might be possible. And anybody else feedback wise?
Again, just important that everybody from the particular group, that the group that's presenting, have scripts, and those scripts are the finalized copies. So any last minute changes or whatever, that they're all there and documented, and each person has a copy, so they know where they are in terms of the script. I find it best if you have a hard copy. I know we're in the age of electronics, which is great, but the night before you may forget to charge it, or that 1 minute that you need to be on it, it glitches. So just as a backup, make sure you, if need be, you have a hard copy. If that's a challenge, just let us know, and we'll endeavor to sort that out for you. But again, this is just those little things you do that make what you do come off as smooth as you can make it. All right.
Okay, so group 3. Are we at group 3 now? Please give us a little spiel about what you're doing.
Our group had once we saw the thing on the Google Classroom, we like quickly got panicked and changed a lot, because we thought we wouldn't, because our thing was centered around having students participate in the discussion, and we were going to have students talk to us and have a question and answer session. So once we saw the Google Classroom thing, we scrapped our poll, and because what our plan was, we'd have a poll and then discuss whatever was on the poll and then discuss it with the students. So I think we might have to make more adjustments, because Ms. Cadet just said that we could still have a poll. So for right now, our whole thing was everybody in our group introduces themselves, and then me and Beria, we're going to give an introduction to our topic and an introduction to our panelists, because after we changed it to be centered around just around having a panel of people from across the city, like leaders in the city, talking about their experiences and struggles they faced and how they overcame them. But we're probably gonna have to change it again, so that's nice.
Let's have a conversation, please, then, about how can your idea work. So in your original or in your possibility in having students interact, how can we make that work? So if you were going to do a poll, then you put out your poll question, people respond. What next? What would you do next?
The next, what the plan was is poll question, people answer, and then we'd be okay, so, and then going off the results of the poll, we talk about whatever the question was. It's just so that people, because we're talking about experiences, so it's just so that people can almost include their experiences as well, because the plan was that we'd be able to ask students about their experiences too, and then when we talk to the panel, it becomes overcoming these experiences. And we also wanted to have a question answer. Also, just a quick thing on including our own is we also, because we shortened everything, there wasn't enough space for everybody in our group to have a time and a specific thing that they were doing. So we made it so that in the panel discussion, it's a mix between panelists and students. Students in our group.
So is it possible instead that you all are the panel and you all are the response to the questions put to the poll that the students are responding to, that your audience is responding to? You are the panel. Your experiences are our feature in response to your poll questions, instead of it being some outside person from this group.
Yeah, we've contacted a couple of people.
I get that that might be possible. And
so should we like split it into 2 segments, having us doing like a student thing first, and then the panelists, we ask them our set questions for them separately?
That's a thought and possible. I'm attempting to create a shift such that y'all are not continuing to start from scratch every time there's a shift. You can actually still get what you want. You just might need to reformat the thinking of it. So you all give something, because in essence, you are a Black student forum, and then you're asking some similar question of your couple of adults that or guests that you have already contacted. How does that sound as inside of your vision of it? I'm attempting to see where we can keep some of the parts, the significant parts that sound like are part of your session, and then incorporate the way that we have to deliver it now. Right? You can do that you're contributing to the conversation along with your panel. Thank you, Hassett. Does that sound good, Yasmin?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we do have like 2 people in our guest list that did confirm their attendance. I guess we're just waiting on other people. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening with that at the moment.
We'll probably have to like regroup as a group to figure this out. But I think now that we have like the poll possibility, we might be able to, but we'll see.
Yeah, and we already, sorry, my bad. We already did like develop most of our questions. So it's just like the matter of like having the poll and like just the format. But other than that, like we do have a plan for what we're going to talk about, and everything is set for that.
All right. Sounds like a round table kind of conversation between Black youth and Black adults. Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the plan.
And I don't see a need to shift that. You can still have a round table. I just see you all as actively participating versus monologuing your way through, right? You're bouncing these questions. You're like, these are some questions that we as youth came up with, and here are the ways that I'm challenged by these things. I was wondering, like, how have you done, like, that kind of exchange and interaction. And then maybe throw it to the audience in a poll 1 or 2 times, see what they give you back to then continue to feed your conversation moving on. Sound possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually like very good advice for us. Like, because we were lost, but yeah, having like the perspective of students like us and then other people, I think that's a very good idea.
All right. So for you all, you're a round table of you all having this conversation. And then, sorry, give me back. What is your conversation centered around?
Black perspective.
Sorry?
Black perspectives, but like specifically like experiences and struggles that we've faced, and moving and to connect it back to our overall theme, overcoming those struggles.
Awesome. All right. I like it. All right. So just a slight bit of, reconfiguring. Do not redo anything. Just really incorporate some of the possibilities. That to me is also a good model of resilience. I'm not a fan of the conversation of resilience. It sets us up for we're broken and we always have to come and overcome something fixed. But resilience is also what you all are speaking, like an opportunity to under through barriers. I appreciate it. That sounds like next week you all will be closer and ready for a match to the vision you had for this session. Awesome. Okay. Okay. If you've got that idea captured some way before you and let's make sure, because I heard it resonated. I want to make sure that you guys are grabbing a hold of some part of it before you leave our attention today. So let me check in again with this group. Are you all cool?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All right. So grab a hold of whatever part of that resonated with you and make sure to hang on to it. So when you leave this call, you all are, working inside of that new construction of your, or shift of construction for your idea. All right. Anything else? Awesome. So that was 1, 2, 3. Are we at 4?
Yeah, we are 4. So 4 is my group, and we got pretty far last week into what we were deciding on doing, and then we got the change. And I think our group can actually tweak it and it'll work out pretty fine. But what we have to present to you guys right now is kind of what we wanted to do before we had that quick change. So we're just going to need to tweak a few things, maybe just a few little words and stuff like that. But we've already changed the main ideas just so it'll fit like the, I guess, less interactive type of format, but we're still going to try to make it interactive in some way. So we'll start off with an introduction, and some of these sentences might not really apply directly now just because we have to change a few words. But the introduction will start off with me, and what I'll say is, hey, what's up? Now I'm playing Wagwan. Today shall be less of a presentation and more of a conversation, so we encourage your participation. See, with our generation, to boost our communication, we must first build strong relations. All of us are alike in some way, and that is what we will talk about today. And then Kyla can go.
As Kasai said, this group is dedicated to celebrate our unique histories and to unveil many mysteries about one another. We know that the majority of this group is Black youth, but that isn't any proof that we grew up under the same roof. We are not all the same. Black people are intersectional. They're multidimensional and certainly exceptional.
And then I go, we come in many shades, all as powerful as the jack of all trades. Our history is sacred. It isn't something that can be graded nor tainted. Our cultures should be embraced as they are the main flavors in our lives, not just the aftertaste. With that being said, today we hope to come in touch with our roots. So let loose, and now we shall introduce.
And then the next part of that intro is me again. Our topic is, Our topic is culture and identity. We want to celebrate our differences and bond over our similarities. As Black youth, we are connected by our roots, but we are beautifully diverse in our character, each of us bringing unique experiences, skills, and excellence to the table. As a group, we have the power to make significant change in our communities, and we hope to inspire you to do so today. Connection is the key to success, so let's unlock that hidden potential. And then we go into our next portion, which is, Hayat, you can introduce that.
Okay, so the next portion we're doing like this show and tell, and it's kind of like an icebreaker. So it's important to share identity and culture because as much as we know each other, we still have a lot to learn. I think now more than ever, sharing our different cultures is important because it fosters a sense of belonging and identity. It contributes to a quality of life and helps us relate to each other as well as experience our differences. I want our speakers to rep their country's cultures and do it justice. Describe your country as best. Describe why your country has the best traditions, drip, food, and any other culture practices. I want you all to reflect on your cultural heritage. What country do you culturally identify with, and what are some of the practices that allow you to feel connected to your cultural heritage? Think about if these practices influence your identity and how. And then the speakers, like, we kind of divided them up from like East Africa to West Africa to South Africa, North Africa, and the Caribbean. So each of us are just kind of gonna rep our culture and like have like a little item to show and tell. And then the conclusions.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna do the conclusion. So like we're gonna have one person from one person. We're gonna have 5 people from our group all show examples from the 5 places that we have. So East Africa, West Africa, South Africa, or Southern Africa, and North Africa, and the Caribbean. We're all gonna have one person like show or talk about something from their culture from one of those places. And then I'm gonna go, thank you all so much for sharing, and we hope you guys liked learning some aspects of other people's cultures. We're so grateful that we got the chance to really explore and appreciate our differences, but we also saw some similarity between our cultures. It shows another way how no matter what happened in the past, we also have our roots and are connected as one people.
Yeah, so Kasai is just going to quickly explain how like people will be showing their cultural practices, and so like he'll give an example of what he's going to share.
Yeah, so originally we planned it to have the guests, they would also show something like cultural related, but then we would all, like as the main group, we would come with something prepared to show. So like an example, some people are going to come dressed in their cultural drip, they'll be repping their country, and then they'll say why are they so like proud of their country, and they'll use I don't know, like their clothing as like an item to be proud of. And then for me, I was gonna try to rep like the Caribbean, or more specifically the Bahamas. So I was gonna bring like a list of funny sayings that my like mom and grandparents say, like from like patois, like the language. So that's one thing that I'm like proud of from my culture, and I would use that to say why, I don't know, the Caribbean, or more specifically the Bahamas, is like it's like just a hype place, right? So that's just one example of how the show and tell would go. And then I think we actually missed we have a presentation portion of it, so I'll hand it over to Mystery, who's up next.
Yeah, so we have a presentation. I'll just like run through it. It's a cultural appreciation versus appropriation. And so we explain what cultural appropriation is. Like we hear it all the time, but what is it actually? And then like how to avoid it. And we have some like jot notes. And then, so when is it like insensitive and offensive? And then we go to cultural appreciation, and then what that's all about. We have a bunch of quotes, and then like to end it, we have like a 3-minute video, and that's when we go into the show and tell.
Yeah, so that presentation portion was actually supposed to be before the show and tell, so that was just my bad. I went to the show and tell. But yeah, the presentation. So after we do the introduction, we'll have the presentation, and then we'll have the show and tell as one of the final parts, and then we have a conclusion, which I think Ramala already read. And then to conclude, it's like completely, Kyla, Maysoon, and me as well have a concluding part. So I don't know if we want to go into that.
Yeah, like we have it all pretty much written down, like what we're gonna say. So I would say, thank you for attending our presentation on cultural appreciation, appropriation, and identity. We hope that through our voices, you learned something new that you can use to further your knowledge in relation to Black issues.
And then I'll go. We are so glad you all took the time out of your day to join us. This has been an incredible experience, and I hope we can leave this live with new perspectives on the concept of culture as a whole. Continue to uplift and motivate each other. Much love.
And then my portion, which I kind of have to tweak a little bit, but I said, this has been an amazing time. Thank you to everyone who participated. It truly made the world of difference. We want each of you to leave this meeting feeling inspired to connect. Look at all these amazing new Black people that you met today. Send them a message, build up those relations, and make a difference. Thank you, everyone. And that'll be the concluding part right there. So that's basically what we have right now, but we are dedicated to working this week to tweaking everything so it'll fit the new model. But yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as you were going through, I mean, y'all are TikTokers. This is that TikTok moment where you're like supposed to tell somebody about something without telling them. So as soon as y'all were talking about, I'm like, imagine if, I don't know, Jamboard, it's not a have to, but imagine if you told participants to take a picture or put something in front of their camera that shows without saying it. So I'm sitting in my basement and I went and took this off the wall. You cannot be a Caribbean person and don't got one of these in your house. David, you know you got one of these in your house, right? And so that is what I mean. I'm like, if somebody in this session has said, go take a picture and say, like, show something that tells people you are from the Caribbean. I got a big spoon in the kitchen that can't help you eat with nothing. I got one of these maps of Guyana, and they make these for like every place in the Caribbean and across the continent, made of velveteen. It's lovely velveteen. And you know, whatever other thing that is, put a flag in the comments or, you know, anything like that, I think can kind of, and I feel the energy of that participation for this session, that you get, you know, a whole bunch of people throwing something in there. Maybe it's just the word, you know, fufu. I mean, anything like that, right? Hands up. Who Desiree, you like that one?
I was thinking of like a similar idea. Maybe if you guys want to bring engagement in, you can like tell people, like I think Faith also said it in the comment section. You could tell people to like take a picture of them in like their cultural clothing, or like share a culture aspect of their culture, and then they can post it on their Instagram story and tag our Instagram page. And then at the end of the week, maybe you can do like a little collage thing and post it on the actual page. But like, that's a way to like bring engagement, I think. But also like the Jamboard idea is also good.
That sounds like a good idea. And I just had a question for the YouTube live. Will we actually be able to see the chat when we're presenting?
Yes. You'll have to screen it. You'll be able to see it too, Patsy?
Yeah, we'll be able to see it for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So somebody will be monitoring both spaces, the chat on YouTube or on Zoom.
And then another possible idea that we had Kahoot plans where we would have like different things from different cultures, and then the people would kind of have to guess what culture like the item is from or something like that. So we had a bunch of different examples, like we had a lot of stuff ready, and we just weren't sure if that would work out with the time and with that many people as well. Like we don't know if a Kahoot can, like, I don't know, host 250 something people, but also I think the time would be more of a limitation. But yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Can I just comment on, I loved what Joanne was saying in terms of giving people that opportunity. And if you ask people maybe at the start to take a picture, give them a couple of minutes to do it, by the end of your presentation, you might be able to show some of that. And also for people who are in classrooms to maybe spend a couple minutes talking about it.
If I may add in really quickly, I completely forgot that that's a possibility, Miss Agar, that people may be like in, quote unquote, in their class. So groups, like if you still want to ask a question and like pose something to the audience, like the reality is some people are at home and they do have siblings or whatever nearby, or they are like, quote unquote, in class. So we could still have that level of like engagement, if you will. But yeah.
All right, awesome. And I like the follow-up after or at whatever point of the, the explanation of cultural appreciation or appropriation. All right. Anything else for this group?
That's about it.
Okay. I'm clear. Well done. Okay. Everybody, you're doing so well. I know that there's a point at organizing this where we sometimes let our you've held the energy for this for a long time, and we're getting close to being complete, and you're close to your goal, and you start feeling like, oh, I don't have enough, and you all, so far you have enough for what you are trying to communicate. You're doing well. All right. Do we have one more group or another group left to go? Or is that the last one?
We just have one more group.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just redo it, and then people can like jump in if I'm missing anything. So we're gonna start off with like a group introduction on like the topic that we're doing. So our group is moving forward from 2020. So we're gonna do a quick group introduction, and then we'll also introduce ourselves, like everyone in the group. And then we have a jam board that we want to do with questions, and it's basically asking like, how did like 2020 make you feel and stuff like that. And then we're gonna do like a discussion panel with ourselves. So we have 6 questions. I'm not sure if you guys want to know what the questions are, but we have 6 questions. One of our group members will be asking us the questions, and we'll be like answering them. And then afterwards, David and Jaden will be doing a presentation on like how to improve, educate, and like move on from 2020. So the presentation will be basically on like how to start a club or join a club at your school, and like different organizations you can join in the community. And yeah, that's pretty much what our group is doing. I'm not sure if you guys want to hear the questions we have for the discussion panel.
Mr. Sutton, Ms. Agar, did you want to hear the questions?
I think
Yes,
it'd be a
please.
good idea. Yes, I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay, sure. So question 1 is how have the BLM protests in 2020 that were sparked by the death of George Floyd changed the way the world operates today? Has anything changed, or is it still the same? What kind of effects did the pandemic have on you as a Black person? How can you make a difference in your community while following COVID-19 protocols? When we compare Canada to America, are there any similarities or differences when it comes to police brutality and systemic racism? What major events of 2020 had an impact on you? Do you feel that the school and the OCDSB do enough to address racial injustice within your school community? And then our last question would be, how can we move on from 2021?
They're great. A couple of suggestions. Any thought to maybe combining some of those?
Sure. Which ones?
I'm thinking the one on the George Floyd and the pandemic.
Okay.
Here's a question for you, and I don't want you to include this in the midst. Do you think George Floyd would become what it became if it wasn't for the pandemic? You won't have to answer. Just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you can combine some of those, that'd be great. Actually, the questions are quite good. Something to think about also is that with those questions, they're good conversation starters, right? How much time would you be allotting to for there to be a discussion around each of them? So I present the question: how much time am I hoping to use in the dialogue that would ensue?
hopefully, we were hoping like it would take maybe about 20 to 25 minutes for everything. It's about 6 questions. 1, 2.
Yeah. So if you limit the responses, the response to each question, to what, 3 to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Those
think
kind
that's
of
enough
things.
time for each question?
Again, these are things to think about. You can test it in your group.
Mm-hmm.
What type of, in terms of the questions that you guys would have created, did you have discussions around those questions in your group?
We sort of had a discussion on it like when we started like a few weeks ago, because we
Awesome.
had this plan for a while.
Yeah, awesome. Now, in terms of those discussions, approximately how long did it take for those discussions with any particular one? Or was it?
Not sure. Cannot remember it, but it wasn't like long.
Yeah, and I just sort of give you an idea. I mean, it's not hard and fast, but again, something like this, timing becomes important also.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about.
Yeah, we'll definitely like keep that in mind.
But that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Thank you.
And you guys are the bookend for the completion of our time together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's why we kind of set it up that way, because the idea of how do people get into action connected to your theme, and it also allows folks to take something away, some tips from some veterans in the game who know who have navigated some of these challenges not only in the last year, but over previous years as well, to have a possibility that I don't believe the OCDSB has ever had before, of how many affinity spaces are in our schools for Black students. I'm very mindful of how many of those spaces are also being created in our below grade 8 schools as well. It's amazing how many educators have emailed us asking whether they can bring grade 7, 8 to this event. And so that's something I think that supports a vision I was holding of making sure that we have some mentorship reach back to those students, to encourage them as well to maintain those spaces and navigate them as younger students, so that when they get into your high schools, they're ready to go, to jump into the spaces and legacy spaces for you graduating that you all are leaving for them to now craft and fuel and feed with their own energy and vision for the schools that they're going to attend for grade 9 through 12. So well done. Amatul Rahim, you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I just have a question, and sorry if you can hear the vacuum going in the background, but I just had a question about how it's gonna like look. So if we're doing it via Zoom, right? Like, or Google Meet, however, and then it's getting live streamed. But is everybody from our class going to be like on the meeting at the same time, as well as any guests? Are they all going to be at the meeting at the same time? Because then what you have is that it'll just show a bunch of faces, but like it might not show like the people who are presenting at the time. And that's what we want the people on the stream to see. So I was just wondering how that part is going to work.
Maybe Ms. Agard or Faith can speak better to that. In webinar mode, it'll highlight the speakers.
My understanding is that the speaker will be highlighted as they speak, and I don't think you see anybody else, just the speaker. So that's a question we can ask the communications person. Faith, do you know?
No, so I actually have an email asking that exact question. It's drafted because yes, like within the workshops, we have like a couple people there, but like with like even with that highlighting the speaker function, like I really don't understand how that works. So we'll for sure have pause like an answer for next week, but as soon as I hear back from comms, I'll just put an update in the Google Classroom. That being said, everyone, please make sure that your notifications are on for that. And read everything that's being posted there, because we're so close and like everyone just has to be on the same page. But update to come. I'll send that email right now.
All right. And I know it's hard to figure out. The board does like to throw this particular model. It's a bit of a ringer. Now we messed this up a little bit. Not we, me. I messed this up when we were doing the scholarship presentation. In that once the board steps in, I just think they made it complicated. So there are two separate links. One link will be given to you to be in one of these spaces along with any of your guests. So the only people who I believe will be in the Zoom space is going to be us and our invited guests. Everyone else will be viewing via Zoom, via YouTube. They will be given that link. So participants will be given a link separate from you all, facilitators. So one group is watching without needing to be worried about whether their cameras are on or mics are off, any of that that kind of thing. And they will see what you're doing. They'll be able to interact in how you're doing it, whether the teacher shares their screen or they just go on YouTube themselves. They can put their comments there in that space. If you have a link that you're sharing, the link will be shared in both spaces. So for example, if it were a poll, the link to the poll will be shared in the YouTube space as well as the Zoom space for anybody to participate. You'll be able to see all of it no matter which of the spaces you're in. But the board separates participant from workshop facilitator. And they do so likely because they are most terrified of a security breach where somebody decides to enter your space and do something unfortunate. So to ensure there are some layers of security, distance from participant being able to jump into your Zoom, they have created this dual method. So the technical of it, don't worry about that. We will get that straight. Continue to imagine your presentations in the way you want them to be, and we will ensure to do the configuring to make sure you can get as close to that as possible. I hope that relieves some of your anxiousness around what will it look like. Anybody else have a question or comment? So my screw up when we were doing the scholarship, I gave you all the link that they sent me. I didn't realize there's two separate links. So you all joined as me, driving therefore our presenter absolutely crazy because there were, 45 Adrian cadets. That is a terror by itself. The thought that there could be two alone would be scary enough. Any other feedback or comments? You all, as I said, have done very well. You've taken up a pretty big footprint in taking this on in the way that you have. Your contributions are celebrated and appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you for walking the journey this far. A few more miles before we sleep, and do whatever you need to do to ensure your own success offline, and send us a message if you need question answered. Otherwise, our leaders of this group, along with yourselves, you all are guiding us into a fantastic direction, and I hope you feel good about what you have contributed and what you have created, right? Unless Mr. Sutton or Miss Agard has anything else for today, I am complete.
Congratulations. I'm looking forward to the dress rehearsal next week. This sounds amazing.
I am as well. And the only thing I can say at this point is good work. Just look at the suggestions that were proposed. And other than that, keep up the good work, guys. Looking forward to what we're looking to produce. And for those of you celebrating Eid, happy Eid, because we don't see each other until after. So happy Eid.
All right, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Be kind, be safe, be awesome. Uwan, do you have a question? Sorry.
I was just gonna ask, are we able to like add a performance in the middle of the thing? Okay.
I'll say yes.
Okay, cool. We'll start.
It looks like Alador has something to add.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Alador, where you at? I can't see you on my screen. Oh, there you are. Hey.
Hey, I had a quick, the email I
Oh,
sent you.
yeah. Sorry, Alador. I'm glad you remembered.
No worries, no worries. I just want to share with you all, put my glasses on so I can actually see, but I want to share with you all really quickly that recently, some of you may have seen on my Instagram story, but the Abel Mengestab Memorial Foundation was founded and started after a recent passing of a close friend of mine, a close family friend, about a year ago. And he was entering his 4th year at Carleton University in the PAPM program. And before that, he was a student at Sir Robert Borden High School. So, you know, throughout his lifetime, he was constantly encouraging youth, Black youth specifically, inspiring, uplifting all of us. And through being an amazing contributor to the Ottawa community, a huge advocate for Black rights as well and social injustices. He worked very closely with homeless communities and autism organizations, and a lot of the great work throughout his lifetime, and that's the goal of the foundation, to continue Abel's legacy. So this year we are launching the Abel Mengestab Memorial Award, valued at $1,000, and we're giving up to 3 awards. Valued at $1,000, the application is due June 7th, and I wanted to let you all know about it because you're all amazing people. I'm always in awe of the work that you guys do within your schools and everything. So I want to share it with you all. I'll put the website in the chat and maybe share it with Ms. Cadet or Ms. Agard or Mr. Sutton.
Post it to the Google Classroom. Everything that you just said, put it in the Google Classroom where everybody can see it. Absolutely.
Perfect. Then the scholarship application is pretty straightforward. If you do have any questions, though, you can feel free to message me, or there's also a contact page on the website. But thank you. Thank you for letting me share too.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad we got that in. And Kyla, you got an announcement or something also to say?
Yeah, just quickly before we leave. So just a reminder, on May 25th is the virtual walkout for This Is Just the Beginning, George Floyd Continuing the Momentum. The poster is ready and is going to be posted on Stay Woke Instagram. So Yonda, if you want to put the @ for the Instagram in the chat, that would be great. And so if you guys want to follow that, you'll follow along. We will put a sign-up sheet so you can sign up and you'll be sent the little icon that you're going to change your profile pictures to. Reminder, that's on May 25th from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30. And you'll be sent a link to the live stream that we're going to be doing. So share with your friends. I expect to see you all there. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Y'all are busy people. Goodness gracious. All righty. Anybody else? Announcement? Anything to add?
When I grow up, I want to be you students. That's all
I
I'm
tell you. Y'all make me feel like wanting to redo high school, and I was in high school for 7 years. Go ahead, Faith.
Just on a closing note, if anybody is going to the protest on Saturday, please be safe, wear your mask, all of that. And I know a lot of the things, it's been like this for a while now, but there's a lot going on in terms of, social media and what's being posted. And just make sure you're taking care of yourselves and be safe with whatever you're doing. Don't get into any fights or stuff of the like. But yeah, just be careful.
All righty. Is that it? Is that a wrap? All right, that's a wrap. Peace and a tub of hair grease.
Have a good